Looking for a clear way to watch and manage your critical environment facility? Introducing Vision by Phoenix Controls. Vision is a real-time critical systems analysis tool that allows you to customize reporting, scheduling, and alarm management. This comprehensive tool supplements your facility's existing building automation system and provides full web-based operation. With Vision by Phoenix Controls, you will enjoy features such as a full suite of powerful and customizable real-time reporting tools, critical analytics at every level to help evaluate and maintain proper building operation for facilities, safety, and energy management. Easy to read and navigate UI, providing detailed data on air change rates in real or historic timeframes. The ability to customize the visuals to represent specific campus, building, floor, and room specifications. A drag-and-drop architecture builder, plus many pre-built mechanical templates, makes for easy setup and updates as your facility needs grow. Custom reporting to help provide certification management, trend analysis, and energy efficiency tracking information, and more. Review, report, and make equipment decisions with airflow building diversity visibility. Information feeding into Vision is not limited to Phoenix Controls equipment. For your critical room control system needs, Phoenix Controls is simply the best in the business. You may already know the quality and reliability of our Venturi valve system. Well, now the innovative Vision analysis tool is just one more reason to look to Phoenix Controls. Connect with your Phoenix Controls representative for a demonstration and see how you can improve visibility into your critical environment facility with Vision by Phoenix Controls.
Hello, this is a brief demonstration of the new Phoenix Vision Analytics software package. The system is designed to provide additional analytics to work in conjunction as a supplement to maybe your existing BMS. You'll see through this presentation that there's a lot of the same functionality with many specific reporting tools and other analytics that are built specifically for the critical spaces that Phoenix is the critical leader in. It's a web-based platform, so when you log in, you essentially are just using any web browser application like Google Chrome or Bing. It's from a PC, it could be a phone, tablet. If you're Apple, then that would be obviously Safari. And the system is intelligent enough to know what type of system you're logging in with. So the menu structure changes if it's determined that it's a mobile device or a PC type of device. So at this point, we'll log in, and today we're going to focus on the critical spaces of a Vivarium. And we'll start by getting logged in. And we immediately land on what might be considered a typical campus, either university and or facilities with multiple buildings that gives you a simple means of accessing the buildings either by clicking directly on them and or using the left down arrow to provide additional navigation. If you are dealing with buildings that are more remote, another example of what a remote campus might look like would be something that you might find from Google Maps, where you can have a main campus and multiple other campuses throughout, and or just buildings that, as we are now in the Internet of Everything, that you have VPN access through just regular computers on your network. That's essentially what this system would reside on in giving you that capability. So we'll tunnel through, again, another jump tag to a typical type campus look into a particular building. And today, as I said, we're going to be looking at a Vivarium application. So as we land on a typical Vivarium page or suite, a few things to point out is that the floor plan that we're using in this case was built out using some 3D isometric looking pages. But that's really up to the end user. We can easily bring in a two-dimensional architectural page. We can bring in mechanical if that's desired. So really the type of floor plan is really up to the end user. And then what we're showing is multiple levels of gradient information. So again, this is meant, as we know, a lot of people in the vivariums are very akin to wanting to see what's happening in those spaces due to a lack of accreditation. But it's not always presented in such a way where they have that information and easy access to it. The login parameters for vision can be edited, or to put you in an edit mode or in a view only mode. So it even gives you the ability to allow some navigation through these pages with no ability to actually make any changes. So it protects the integrity of the system, but yet still giving the needed information to the end user. As it currently is sitting, we're on the lab temperature gradient page. And in this case, you can see that the gradients run between 65 and 85, with it being blue. Typically, the gradients are set up so that if they're at set point or in the mid-range, which is where your set point typically would be, there's no colors to be displayed. And as the temperature rises or falls, then you see the gradient change. So it makes for a very easy interpretation in how the labs are running in this case. And as we said, you might be able to find something similar to that, maybe on a BMS, but what you won't find are the additional gradients that we build into the system, i.e. very important for a vivarium, being pressurization. And then we give an actual differential, so that you always have the same offset capability. So the pressures can be all different types, positive and negative, but what we're really looking for is how far off of the current setting are we. In this case, we're using offset and a negative 25 to plus 25, and we're using the yellow and the purple to distinguish between a positive or more positive than it should be, and yellow being more negative. Another example might be air changes for the various spaces that you have, in brown being more from a 4 to a 12 with the cyan. So again, you can see how this can be easily manipulated to show and give people a very easy indication of how the labs or those various pressurized zones are running. One of the things that I know specific to a vivarium that we have done is even looking at lighting. LED lighting is becoming very prominent, even to the point where we're changing the capability or the color from the different Kelvin ratings to provide more of a sunrise to sunset, and providing the animals the ability to even feel that, and giving them more of a real life, I guess, perspective, and what they might experience in with just the normal sunset or sunrise and sunset outside. And all of that capability could easily become a gradient and or settings that you might see here. The other unique aspect to this is that we, in addition to just running, which in this case is running real time, is we have the ability to switch over to a somewhat of a DVR control. And right now it's just running, but we can grab this and look at specific times in time intervals. So we can look for particular hot spots and try and assess and again, or analyze what's happening in these spaces if we're expecting it to be at a certain air change rate and or particular temperature. It allows us to find hot, cold spots and see cycling that you probably might not find otherwise. And this DVR control is available for any of the variables that you have within the system. Additionally, we all know that a lot of people save histories and in some cases years worth of information, but it's always difficult in regards to how to manage it. And the Vision product allows for a calendar parsing capability so that you can pick a particular week, year, or day of data when you're trying to find something that maybe an event happened, and you're trying to determine, well, what happened, when did it happen. You can just easily select the month, the time, or the time interval that you're looking at. And then once that's selected, then you can use all of these tools to run through and see what happened during that time period. Again, very useful tool in regards to the ability to analyze the particular space.
Okay, so in addition to the gradients that we've discussed, especially for a vivarium, there's a lot of applications for giving local ability to control the pressurization modes as there's an infection and or immune compromised animals. You need to either make it a quarantine space or a positive space, and in some cases, a sealed space. And in conjunction with the Phoenix Air Valve, you have a guaranteed plus or minus 5% accuracy over the life cycle of the valve. So it's a great application not only to have that at the valve level for the airflow, but now you have the ability to do very easy control with the guaranteed airflow that you don't necessarily have to have calibrations done regularly to give you that kind of guarantee and or cleanings and or maintenance that you'd find with other systems. So we'll look at Lab 101 as our test case. Right now it's running in the quarantine mode. As you see, it's a negative designated by a red arrow, and then you look over here at 106, it's running positive, and then you have a corresponding representation of the various modes. So if we go into Lab 101, we push on that, and then we go to the set, we can see that we have a couple of or several options where we can make the space positive, so thereby switching the relationship to the positive or the supply and exhaust valve. Quarantined, again, changing the relationship so that there's more exhaust versus supply. A decon mode where we actually, with the 100% shutoff valves, can seal the space for VHP cleaning and other means of isolating that space, and then ultimately a purge. The Phoenix valves have a 20-to-1 turn down, which with no loss of resolution, so therefore you can even create high levels of air change rates and or purge conditions for specific requirements for the research and the things that are happening within the research related to the animals. So as I said, right now we're running in a negative mode, so we're just going to change it to positive as an example. And you have the ability to not only have a very easy method of changing the pressurization, but you can get guaranteed feedback off the valves that not only did you command that mode, but you have a guaranteed repositioning and therefore pressurization that you could easily come down and verify by just checking with your pressure screen as well. We'll go ahead and let's use Lab 102. We'll go ahead and change that one to a purge mode. Excuse me for a second. Yeah. We'll change that one to a purge mode and apply. And then you can see now that we went to a high ventilation rate, we're purging the space and allowing, again, whatever needs to take place within the animals for those spaces. So again, a lot of unique capabilities for what you might be able to do in a vivarium. We do have an application that we have used just to show that in a lot of these spaces that are critical, we do all of the standard temperature, air change rate, pressurization fairly easily, but we also have a lot of other different processes and sequencing that that are being evolved and that we're building. And one example would be feeding control that we're doing for a particular customer. And this is just a quick example of a requirement that they had, where they actually wanted Phoenix to utilize vision to allow for control of the water that's coming in for the testing. So here's an actual cut away of the panel, and the way the sequence works is pretty easy. Is that they would put in a totalized value. In this case, we have it set for 7 fluid ounces, and anytime that there was water usage, it could be water juice, it really didn't matter, it was above 7, then they wanted to disable and not allow the watering to take place. And but then they also said they wanted it scheduled. And so as a quick example, we'll go through and right now it shows water disabled, so our schedule is not running. Today being Tuesday, I'm just going to drag this up into the time period, which is around 2 o'clock, to make sure that we're in the water enable mode. And so now I have that showing a start time of 12:40 to 3:40, so that should give us an enable on our cage watering. And so there you see our cage water cycle is enabled. And you see right now that we are sending water to the cage because we were below the 7, and we just went above the 7. We're at 7.2 to 10, so everything turns off. And so this is a simple example, but again, because of the critical spaces and the capabilities we have, not only with the valves, but with the software and the controllers, we can do a lot of things that in years past were more difficult, or we had to rely upon BMS companies or building automation. And it's really not their world as opposed to where it's ours. And then we also have an override that we can turn the water on so that the animals can get the water that they need at any time. So just a quick example in regards to some of the other capabilities that we're in the process of building and doing, and again, as it relates at this case to the Vivarium. Any of these spaces, you can jump into a particular detailed view of these spaces that you might find within a Vivarium. In this case, you would have a full representation of temperature, your pressure points, your air change rate, and then your analysis in regards to labs with fume hoods. But you wouldn't typically have that in a Vivarium. But it gives you some again, history analysis of what's been happening, individual point analysis. And then you have the air change rate driver, which shows you what's driving an air change rate. So if your air change running higher than you might expect or lower, you can look at this particular gauge and determine what's influencing and affecting that. If you make the points resettable, then you have all the functionality that you might with other systems, so where you can change set points, you can come in and change any value that's made available and as a set point very easily. If it's either through a, again, typical browser and or phone and or tablet, you have indication of overrides with the magenta bars, alarms within the points by the red bars, and again, a lot of capabilities from a standpoint of reporting and histories, because most of the time, you really don't want to wait until you have an event to then go back and set up a history or a trend. That's why we typically set up in these individual room modes at least 30 days of trend information, so that you always have some indication of what has occurred and gives you that troubleshooting and analytic capabilities. Some of the other reports that you might use is the summary reports. Again, this allows you to take just about any point analysis of the system from air change rates, as an example. Show me all my air change rates, and then you get a report of whatever the air change rates currently are for the entire system. And this can be broken down by floor. It can be broken down by a suite. And then you can print these reports in a CSV file, so that you have the ability to send those and even create additional chart information that you might want from that one summary. Another example that you might find is well, I just add some criteria that I just want to look at my air change rates that are greater than 10. You can easily add that criteria, so it eliminates points that you don't care about. I just want to see the ones that are concerned, some of those that I can analyze for things that are greater than 10. And that, again, gives you that type of report. But these are all user-defined and customizable. So I have some examples that I'm showing you, from alarms to individual points, temperatures, any points or a range of points that you might want. But once those reports are built, you can come back to them time and time again to rerun those and create the analysis that you might want. These chart reports are very powerful. We even have some in here as if you were using these to create an ALAC report. This giving you, from a standpoint of temperature, humidity, offset, and or pressure and air change rates, so that not only could you have this information that you could view and zoom in and look for specific areas that you might find being problematic, but again, you have the ability to go through that historical information, easily find where the information is located from a standpoint of how you want to parse it. Do you want to parse it by month? Do you want to look at the last week? So as opposed to it being very convoluted and hard to get at, it's very simple for you not only to view it, but also to print it. Again, you have this button, which you have on all your reporting, so that you can export that out to a very easy, usable CSV file. And a whole range of reports that you can build and create on your own. A lot of vivariums that we deal with have each room individually built out with what they are considering ALAC accredited reporting, so they can get to the information that they need, and yet they don't have the ability to make specific changes that are detrimental to the ability for the vivarium to operate as intended. One of the other key aspects is our ability to look at the air handling units and pull information off of those specific to the vivarium. So from the floor plan, or from, as you can tell from the navigation to the left or the right, we have a very nice way of displaying the information that's very important for us in order to do the type of control we need down at the room level. What's the temperature off of the unit? Is it stable? What's the static pressure? And just to make sure that, you know, something on the BMS side didn't get changed and thereby creating unwarranted influences down at the room level. And we've never really been able to do that, but now we due to the onset of being able to share information and or installing our own sensors to provide that type of feedback, it's an extremely useful tool so that we can identify problems and help, again, the facility manage these critical spaces in ways that we haven't in the past. And as we said, air handling units, and we also have that ability with particular exhaust fan systems where we could even send the capability or have the capability to provide override to turn things off, open dampers, and create just about any sequence that's imaginable from these types of systems. As we said earlier, we have scheduling capabilities, as you might find in any system, alarm capabilities with not only the points that are in and out of alarm, but we have the ability to send out emails so that as a means of indication that there's a problem, and or instruction sets so that if these critical points and variables are in alarm, we can easily detect and create instructions for the end users to know even what am I supposed to do in this particular alarm state or scenario. So again, all web-based. It's a product out by Phoenix, again, the critical leader for years, and now a supplement analytics software known as Vision. And if you have any questions in regards to what you've seen or would like more information, you can get online at phoenixcontrols.com, ask the expert, or contact your local representative for information.